What's going on, guys? Looks like my last sharpening video actually did pretty well, better than a lot of my other videos. So I figured why not do another one. Just had a local customer drop a handful of really nice knives off tonight, and I figured I'd pick at least one of them and kind of walk you guys through the sharpening process. It's going to be maybe just a little bit different than the fixed blade I did, though similar. So what I got here, he dropped off a Benchmade Osborne design. Always actually liked this one. Nice large size folder, axis lock. Looks like some kind of a G10 handle. 154 cm blade. Not sure what you'd call that blade design. Kind of a little bit of a drop point-ish, although it's kind of squared off. Definitely got some rounding at the tip. Still a little bit sharp. Looks like it's been sharpened at least a couple of times. Got a couple different angles going on here. But yeah, that tip is like really rounded off. Looks like probably what happened is the tip, like the very end, got snapped off, and then maybe it just got sharpened, you know, and kind of rounded back over. But we can fix that. We will fix that, no problem. And we'll try to even out that angle. Now this one I probably will do a fixed angle. I think Benchmades are typically like around 30 degrees or so. So we'll see if that works. Biggest thing on this one is this thumb stud sticks out quite a ways. So we want to make sure that we don't accidentally grind into it with our abrasive belt. That would be a big no-no, and something I've done on some of my own knives inadvertently. It's easy to kind of forget about or ignore, you know, until you're, you know, in the process there and you're like, oh crap, I just hit the thing. So we'll probably try to take those off. Sometimes, you know, they have little hex screws in them. This one I think is just a stud on one side, female on the other. So we'll get some smooth jaw pliers, carefully take that off. Hopefully it comes off. If not, we'll have to change our angle a little bit on the approach, you know, on the heel side of the blade, so that we avoid that thumb stud, and just keep it in mind. You definitely want the knives leaving in better condition than they came, right? So we'll deal with that. Looks like there's a little bit of lock stick on this guy as well. So we might see if we can't smooth that out a little bit too. This thing probably needs a little bit of oil anyway. It's a little squeaky. So we'll deal with that. I also got this looks like a Paramilitary 3 Spyderco. I've actually been wanting to handle one of these for a while. Nice little knife. I like that size on that blade. You know, good, decent, everyday carry size. I've always wanted to get either this one or the Paramilitary 2. Really like that back liner lock. Nice and smooth and easy. Thing with this one, it does have a black oxide coating, or I don't think that's a DLC coating, but some kind of dark or black coating on the blade. Probably not going to follow this one up with the buffer because I don't want to fade that out. You know, not that it's not going to fade with normal use, but we don't want to help it along necessarily. So I may hand strap it when we're done. You know, I've got a little leather strapping stick over there. If I feel that it needs it, it might be fine right off the belt. If not, I can like very carefully just hit the very edge of this on the buffer, but we'll see. Or I could tape it. That's always an option too. Just want to protect that coating. So it's a nice knife. This I think is a Cali 3, another Spyderco, another one I've been wanting to handle for a long time. This one appears to have some kind of a pattern welded steel for the blade, or, you know, Damascus. I don't know if that's laser etched or if it is actually a folded steel. Looks like it might actually be some kind of folded, if not even a San Mai steel or something. Definitely a nice little knife, carbon fiber scales. Not sure what the steel on this one is. VG10. So we'll get that sharpened up, nice and brand new. Biggest thing with these Spydercos, by the way, they don't have any kind of sharpening choil, but they got like these real severe kind of plunge lines. You just want to be careful not to dig into those with the corner of your belt, or not to take too much material off the heel to where it kind of bellies out or in. So we got to be mindful of that. And that's definitely one where you want to be mindful of where the edge of your belt's at. So we'll take plenty care with those. This one I won't hit on the buffer either because it is an etched blade. And we don't want to wash anything out. Then lastly, I got a old case rust lock. Another knife I've been curious about. Seen them in catalogs for years, so I always wondered about this little tail or tang. I don't know if it's supposed to be reminiscent of like an old straight razor, if that's for opening. Actually, it seems a little awkward for this size of a handle on my hand. And then when closing, it kind of wants to hook that middle finger. I don't know how I feel about that. I've always wondered, like, what is that to kind of help you as it's coming out of your pocket? Like maybe you could hook onto that? I don't think so. At least it doesn't seem to work very well. But I do like these old case knives. It's got some mother of pearl inlays and some kind of turquoise. I guess that's a stone probably. I don't know if that's synthetic or stone. Looks like stone. But a cool old knife. Really doesn't seem too dull. I see a couple of flat spots, but we'll get that one sharpened up too. It's got a little bit of a sharpening choil, but we'll do what we got to do. One of the few liner locks Case makes, or that they used to make. I'm sure they got a couple more now. But I think for this video, we'll stick with this Osborne. You know, really it's in pretty decent shape. It's just that edge really needs a little bit of TLC. Might even tighten that pivot up just a little bit more. It's got a little bit of wiggle in it. But yeah, first things first, let's see if I can get this stud off, hopefully without breaking it. It's always my fear for some reason. Sometimes these things get Loctited on. And if I can't get it to break loose easily, I'm going to have to heat it. And you can do that with a soldering iron, something like that, pretty easily. Last thing I want to do is twist that off and have to order a new thumb stud. But for this, and I don't like using these big ones. I lost my other pair. They're around here somewhere. A little pair of plier wrenches. Probably on that workbench over there if I just go look. But open these up a little bit. I'm gonna use these plier wrenches because they're non-marring. Don't want to actually loosen right up. Definitely don't want to scratch anything up if I can help it. Yeah, this looks like it'll come right off, which is nice. Let's see if that's enough. It's definitely loose. Yeah, that'll do it. And it did have some kind of Loctite in there. Blue Loctite probably. So we're going to set that where it's not going to get lost. And now what's nice is I don't have to worry about accidentally grinding into that. So next step, hopefully all that was in frame. Next step is we need to find our angle. So once again, make sure there's no grit or dust in here. You know what, actually I'm going to put a little masking tape on here. Not really necessary. These aluminum jaws really are pretty good about not marring or marking, but I like to be extra careful. So we're just going to put a little bit of masking tape on there. Now this was a thick knife the last time I used these. I was sharpening a pretty thick knife, so we're going to bring those in. And again, somewhere on a flat spot, also as parallel to the blade as I can get it. Tighten up the front one a little bit. Tighten up the back. I'm going to go ahead and turn on this angle cube. I'm going to zero it to my platen. Then I'm looking for about 15 degrees. I'm going to go kind of on the flat of this handle. It's actually about 20 degrees. This might actually be 40, 20 per side. I think the last couple Benchmades I sharpened were almost like a 30. This actually looks pretty close to good like it is. Again, I'm just kind of eyeballing how this lines up on the platen. It actually looks like it's dead on already. Isn't that nice? So we're going to give it a couple swipes. I'm going to see where this point kind of ends up after sharpening. I always like fixing my points after the edge is mostly established, because a lot of times you really don't need to do anything. Although this is so severely rounded, I think I'm going to probably have to hit the back, which shouldn't be a big deal at all. Make sure this is nice and solid. Make sure our belt's centered. Take the first pass. Yeah, it's looking good. And kind of what I'm looking at here is just an even flat grind all the way down. And I kind of want to blend out any of the previous sharpenings, so we got a nice, clean, pristine edge when we're done. Almost there. Also notice I got this belt actually running pretty slow. This is a nice sharp belt still. Definitely don't want to heat the edge up. Some people are what you might call purists when it comes to sharpening, and they wouldn't be caught dead sharpening on a belt grinder. There's some study I think I saw referenced, years ago, where somebody claimed that the very apex of this edge when running across a moving belt like this is reaching like thousands of degrees, and it's ruining the very microscopic outside temper. I don't know if I believe that. Let me put it this way, my thoughts, this was sharpened at the factory either on a stone or a belt, likely a belt. A lot of production knife facilities, they've got guys sharpening on belt grinders by hand, with maybe without coolant. That's how the knife came. It's going to be fine, trust me. Now, is a hand stone sharpened knife better than a belt sharpened knife? Maybe, I don't know. Depends on how good you are with stones. I promise this is going to be more precise than 90% of people sharpening by hand on a stone. Not that I wouldn't want to be that good. I mean, that'd be great. But it also takes a lot longer, and I'd have to charge a lot more. Another thing I'll mention, if you do have a Benchmade, they do offer Life Sharp or lifetime sharpening services. You just got to pay for shipping. Which for this guy, would have cost more than I'm going to charge him to sharpen the blade just right down the street from where he lives. That's looking nice. Ooh, that's feeling sharp too. And I'll be honest, I might be getting this sharper than Benchmade wood anyway. I can't claim that 100% sure, but I do like to tell people that it will probably be sharper when I'm done with it than when it was brand new. And I don't say that to brag. It's just a fact a lot of the times. Again, just looking for that even parallel grind all the way down the edge. This does have a slight little bit of recurve behind kind of the belly there. So you do kind of have to keep that in mind. This point is definitely not nearly as round as when it started either, which is nice, but we will have to touch it up. No big deal. Now I'm just sighting down the length of the edge for any glints off the light, any flat spots, any edge deformation. Right here in the middle, I still see just a little bit of light reflecting. So just a couple more passes, and we'll head over to the buffer. We've removed all that kind of secondary edge from the multiple sharpening angles. So this is every bit as good, if not better, than when it was brand new. I think we definitely made a good choice taking that thumb stud off. And that point is actually almost completely restored already. Still may go ahead and just even that out. It looks like somebody maybe already ground on it just a little bit. That could just be from wear too, from cutting and going in and out of material a bunch. But we'll blend that back out. No big deal. A lot of times I charge extra for tip repair. This is going to be so minor, I'm just going to throw it in for free. Alright, that's pretty much done. Now one thing I am looking at is the grind lines on the spine. Interesting here, you could tell this is probably done on like a wheel. These are parallel going this way. But the tip here, they start parallel but go to horizontal. So it looks like maybe somebody did try to do that. We're just going to make them all horizontal. I mean parallel. Just a little more. We also made this a little cleaner here. That transition closer to 90 degrees like it should be. Now I just got the tiniest bit of burr there. That'll come off on the buffer. And that tip is perfect. So, like last time, this one will finish up on the buffer. The other ones I'm not going to. This one I really don't even need to, but like I said, I do want to blend that new tip on the spine. I did have a comment on my last sharpening video about how messy my shop is. I completely agree. This is a travesty, and it needs addressed for sure. It is a safety hazard. Do the spine. Make sure I don't feel any burrs. It's perfect. And as usual, you want to clean all that buffing compound and any other dust and grit off the blade. Another thing I wanted to do, this lock was sticking just a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little drop of oil back here. That'll go down in the pivot as well. That was, yeah, I took care of that squeak. And that took care of, whoop, almost got me. Took care of every bit of that lock stick too. I'll blow it out with some compressed air. You don't ever want to over oil your pivots. It attracts dust and grime and grit. But man, that's like a brand new, that's a whole different knife. Amazing what a little bit of lube will do. That's what she said. And we'll just put a nice little sheen on that G10. Man, that's a beautiful knife. I know Benchmade's become a little bit of a polarizing company for what they charge for, you know, production knives. I really like Benchmade. I actually, one of the last knives I bought was a Benchmade. And, you know, I carried it for quite a while. And, I mean, I've got a few of them. My father-in-law really likes them. He's had several of them. And they are a U.S. they're an American-made company. Are they a little pricey for what they offer versus what else is out there these days? Yeah, unfortunately. Do a quick paper test. Oh yeah. You always want to get the whole length of your blade when you're paper testing. You'll know fast if you got a nick or a missed spot, flash spot, but that's perfect. So only thing left to do now is to put that thumb stud back on. I don't know how long the video it's gotten to be. We gotta be getting close to half an hour, but just go ahead and get this back on. Really doesn't matter what direction. Got a male side and a female side. Just want to be careful not to cut myself now that it's sharp. Also want to be careful not to drop the knife and not to twist off that stud. Oh yeah, that guy's good as new. Hair popping sharp. And that's at least as sharp as it would come from the factory. I guarantee that. Only thing I might do off camera, I may just tighten that stud up. Oh. Let's see if I got a torque bit over here. Yeah, what do you know? I actually found a tool in my dirty shop. Is that the right size? Yeah. I mean, just barely needs a little tighten. Yeah, I took every bit of that wobble out, so yeah, that's a knife I'd be proud to carry. Yeah, we're as good or better than new. So that's that one. Not bad for, what do I charge for folders? $1 per inch. So $3.50. I'm going to charge the customer to sharpen that. You think I'm charging enough? I don't know. But I'm happy with that. I know the customer will be too. So that's it, guys. Another sharpening video. I'm probably not going to bore you with these Spydercos. It's much more the same. Again, you just want to be careful on that ricasso on the edge of the belt. Be careful with the blade coatings and the etched blade on the other one. But this is definitely going to be one of the more involved out of these four. And we're already done. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Any comments, critiques, feedback, criticisms, you know where to leave it. As always, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.